What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nostalgically Hip podcast. I am Andy, and this is
Ryan.
what we got tonight, man.
We're covering Halloween, buddy, because it's that time of the year, right? So I figured we'd have to get into that. I don't know about you, but I always really get that feeling the leaves start falling and it just kind of hits me. And weather starts to cool down, which it finally started doing a little bit today. And then I start to watch horror movies, which I've kind of been watching already for like the last 2 weeks. But I figured we do like the whole month of Halloween. So we kind of got some ideas. Yeah. We haven't completely put it together yet, but that's what we're going to kick off tonight is, what did I say? Some like memories of our Halloweens, which is going to be obviously memories of everyone our ages, because we probably all did the same shit. So
probably,
but yeah, just memories from the past, right? I think I got good ones. The masks. Maybe we can cover that. We can talk about movies we watch. Halloween specials were big back then.
What about the ghetto ass costumes that our parents?
You know what? If I would have thought about this, my mom's got pictures of some of that cheese, right? Those Ben Cooper costumes that I had, because that's what every kid wore. We didn't have the shit, but we'll break it on down into that. We'll do that. We'll do the cheesy freaking. Even the bags we had were pretty cheesy, right? I think we had those stupid freaking pumpkins that were like.
I had a damn pillowcase
thing on it you could carry, but it was definitely different. And I think anybody who was around back then, or it's probably most of our listeners, for sure the people we know, is gonna have the same things, had done the same things, seen the same movies over and over.
So I have different memories from different places because my dad was military, so every 2 to 3 years we're leaving or going somewhere new. So it's like I probably remember a lot of the Halloweens better than the average person, I would say, because I always remember when we were in this state, or remember when we were in this city. But one that sticks out the most in my mind is two of them, actually. They were both when we lived in Alabama. One year I went as, I don't know what it was, because my mom got all of her makeup, made my face all white, and I was supposed to be like a vampire-ish something. I don't know, but she sewed the costume, and I was like freaking embarrassed and crap, because all the other kids, they got their store-bought costumes, and here I am in this made-up, homemade, nobody knows what I am costume. Hell, I didn't know what I was.
I don't think you were alone in that, dude. I think, there was a lot of kids that did that. I don't know. Do you remember the kids that, because you'd always have the school Halloween party, which everyone was excited for. So you get to break out your costume for the first time.
Right.
And that was generally the day of Halloween or the day before or whatnot. But do you remember the kid that would have like the boxes, the cardboard boxes? And he was like a robot, and his parents had like done, put aluminum foil around it and shit. Yeah. And I always remember even going, "Oh man, you poor son of a bitch." Everybody had to have one of those kids, right? Or
I may or may not have been that kid at some point.
There's no way you would have put me in a fucking old boxes with aluminum foil around me.
Dude, man, my old man was so strict. It was like, it's either you take this costume that we're giving you or you don't go. And he was serious as a fucking heart attack, too. Speaking of heart attacks, he had his first heart attack in Mobile when we lived there.
Yeah, well, there you go.
There's a memory for you. Yeah. Halloween's a killer, man, I'll tell you.
How many heart attacks has he had?
He said, well...
he had his final one, right? Did he?
No, we actually didn't. He didn't pass from cardiac arrest. It was total organ failure. But he's had at least 2, if not more. Shit, he had his first one when he was 38, man.
Jesus, dude.
Yeah. So and then he had a quadruple bypass, and then yeah, you know how that shit goes. It's all downhill from there.
Yeah, my uncle just had one.
Well, this is some scary shit.
What?
What we're talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're yeah, we're talking about instant freaking heart attack, death, and heart failure. That'll do it, especially when
That's
you get older and you're a guy, right?
right.
But
That's
my
how I
uncle,
want to
he
go, man.
and I haven't seen my uncle in a while, but I heard he just had one, and he lives down in south of us, about an hour, but a little more towards Columbia, but south. So
Okay.
he just retired, bought like a bunch of acreage down there, and then I think he's only like 70, and he had a massive heart attack, and well, not a sudden mass, but a pretty bad heart attack. He was at Columbia, and I had just heard that was probably 8 months ago, but I just heard that he got out, or he not got out, he got out a while ago, but my aunt and uncle got out there to see him, and he looks like he's aged, like
Yeah.
exponentially, and he doesn't think he's going to live long. And I mean, the damage it does, it's crazy. But like I said, I haven't seen him in so long. I probably should see him before.
You know, I know exactly what he's going through. I don't want to derail our Halloween podcast too much longer, but yeah, it's very common to feel that way. You know, specifically very soon after having a heart attack, it really fucks you up mentally.
Yeah, and I heard they're painful as shit.
Oh, dude, that's the worst pain I ever felt in my life, and I've had some pain.
Hmm.
But anyway, let's move on to some other spooky shit instead of heart attacks and dying and shit.
Chlamydia.
Chlamydia is very scary. However, it's not that scary because it can be cured.
You're right.
You know, you want to impress me, throw some herpes or some AIDS at me. Fuck, you know.
Oh, AIDS. But if you're Magic Johnson, you recover from that, and it's never mentioned again.
Right. Well, you know, it's no longer considered a fatal disease, fatal diagnosis, if you will. It's become a manageable disease, much like
Hmm.
diabetes. People are living 20, 30 plus years after being diagnosed, if you can afford the medication. But if you can't, you're screwed.
That's
Should have
everything,
taken
though.
in the shitter, huh?
That's everything. Everything's like that. If you're
Yeah,
poor and you're fucked, you get a disease, you're fucked.
pretty
Yeah. Well,
much.
anyhow, so let's get off chlamydia and AIDS, and let's go into. So we're talking a little bit about the costumes. Um, let's see here. What do
What's
you
the?
have on that? What about
I got a question for
what are
you.
your fondest memories of Halloween? I mean, do you have anything in particular? Was there an age? Was there like a specific time? And I know it's hard to recall. That's the biggest thing I think that I would struggle with this is going back that far because it all kind of seems to run together. But maybe a specific costume, a specific place that you did it. Maybe you had a friends that you went with or something like that. What?
Well, I'll answer your question with another question, and then I'll come back and answer it. What is the earliest age you remember going trick or treating?
That's a good question because I don't. Um,
All right, we'll table that and come back to it.
okay. Yeah,
Um,
I would say that I can really remember it. I probably would have. It's hard to put it together because I don't think it was that long ago. So I'd say like 8, but it was probably 4 the years that I'm thinking of.
hmm,
I don't know exactly, but I can go kind of off costumes that I had, but I'd have to know the years. But I would say, so I quit. They do it a little bit differently today, where the kids seem to do it older. Like I think at 12 I was done. Maybe 13 I went out to have a little fun, but back
mhm.
then you kind of looked a little different if you were out with your buddies at 13. And so I would say it'd have to be maybe 4, 5. The memories that I liked it the most, that maybe I couldn't even say they were my favorite costumes, but I had a cat. But we'll get into that. We'll cover our costumes, but I would say maybe 4 or 5 probably.
Yeah,
would
that's
probably
about
be.
what I remember
Mhm.
as well. And again, it's easier for me to remember because I just think all right, what age am I looking at? All right, now, say I was 4, I knew we lived in Cleveland, Ohio. So, oh yeah, I remember this costume because it was in Cleveland, blah, 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 blah. So it's easier for me to associate that way. But I do remember I was about 4 years old and I had this cheapy vinyl. You remember the vinyl pullover suits or whatever, and
Yeah, those are
and
the Ben Coopers.
the
They
plastic
came in
mask.
like a cake box.
What's that?
They came in a cake box.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
they had, like,
yeah,
that mask with
dude.
the, looked like it was like the leftover remember it had the little elastic strap that would go around
Yeah,
the back of your head? It was, like, kind of within those balls that were on a
yeah,
paddle.
the paddle
Like, they
ball.
had leftover shit, so they made a mask out of it.
Right. But I remember this particular mask was a supposed to be a Frankenstein mask, and I remember even as a 4 year old, I'm thinking the costume doesn't match the mask. You know, it didn't make any freaking sense. But that's
No,
my
and
earliest memory.
yeah, and those were interesting costumes because today when you wear something, you try to, you either get it like if you dress up like an actor or Trump or a political figure, people know, right? They can just
Right.
go, "Oh, yeah." Then they didn't leave it up to your imagination. Ben Cooper would give you that mask, which was like is almost like a cake pan, right? So it was
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
cake pan with an elastic strap on it with like the resemblance to a character that you were trying to be. But in case people didn't get it, they gave you that vinyl thing that you just throw over and slip your arms through, and it would have like some imagery from the show that, or maybe you were doing Star Wars. That was a big one, right? So you'd
Right.
have Star Wars, but it wouldn't let you guess by making his belt and his outfit. It would say Luke Skywalker across the front, like, or say
Right.
Star Wars. So there was no like suspense, like, oh, I wonder who he is supposed to be. It just said, Planet of the Apes.
Right. Until you said that, I forgot that it came in that box. Totally forgot about that.
It was the most generic thing you could get.
Yeah.
And I think because so those were popular in the late 70s and they eventually went out of business. But the thing, I think the idea behind it was you're too young to know. Like I had a Casper one, so I'll
Mhm.
just get right to that now. I remember that one. That's the picture that I would put up. I think I had a Luke Skywalker one at one time. I think my brother had the Planet of the Apes, but they had a franchise or license for almost everything. And then it would make it easy for the parents. So you tell your mom, um, I want to be Luke Skywalker. She just go buy that, she just pull it off the rack and bring it home to you, and it was done.
Right.
You were done, and the funny thing was, is you'd have your jeans sticking out of that vinyl bag, and our I don't know how it was for you, but most of the kids growing up, when I was growing up, we were on the same pair of jeans for like our 4th or 5th year, so those things were floods.
Oh yeah.
So you'd have your floods, you'd have your freaking Nike or Converse shoes or Adidas, whatever the hell they were back then, and then you'd have that stupid thing that would say like Casper, like mine said, like it was a Casper, simplest thing you could have, and it would just say Casper across the Casper the Friendly Ghost, and
Yeah. As short as I am, I didn't have that flooding problem because I didn't grow a whole lot. But
so you didn't grow out of jeans, yeah.
no. But I still had the same pair for like you said, 4 or 5 years. And patches all over them,
Yeah, they
and
just keep freaking patching them up.
kids' shoes because I wasn't cool enough to have anything other than that.
I think that's what a lot of people had. I remember you'd get to go pick a pair of shoes out once a year, right? You'll go pick your pair of shoes out, and there were some corny shoes back then, and
No, no,
Nikes
no,
were just
no.
starting out.
Not over there. Over at the clearance rack.
Right here, right there you go. They don't- Now make sure they fit, and let's buy them 4 sizes too big so you'll grow into them.
Right. Oh shit. Jeez,
Yeah, but
those
I
were the
that
days.
was when I remember, and then because we didn't have the good masks like today, they're into them.
Yeah.
Like they got the full. You didn't even have the full masks. You had half head masks. So even if you got the latex, you got like the half head. So it would just be like the face, and it would go a little over the back of the head so it would hang. And I got one of those. I got a Frankenstein one. I was at that time I was probably 6, and I just stare at that thing all the time. Couldn't wait to wear it. But the thing was, is they didn't make them really for kids.
Yeah.
They didn't like it didn't fit my head, so it would just hang off like the bottom here, and it would just swing. And then my dad wanted to borrow it. Then I was so mad because he goes, "I'm gonna go. Let me use your mask real quick. I'm gonna go next door and mess with the neighbors." And I said, "Okay." So he put it on, and it fit perfect, and he
Of
looked so
course.
good in it. And I remember going, "Damn it! Like, why does it fit me like that?"
But that's a great point, man. I remember just being so excited, not being able to wait to put that costume on, you know? It was like,
Hey, you'd get it if you were lucky. You'd get it like a few weeks in advance,
right.
and you could wear it. And how many times did you like take your, when you got to finally start picking the good ones like that? I ended up getting one that kind of reminded. I was a big Friday the 13th guy, and I got one that kind of reminded me of Jason Voorhees, although it wasn't. But it looked like they had the eye coming out, had like a fake glass eye.
Mhm.
And I'd put that thing on all the time. I'd walk by it. Oh, I better try it on one more time. See
Yeah,
why I love it.
all
And you
the
just
time.
keep doing it, and you couldn't wait for Halloween. That was part of the greatness of it, is you couldn't wait to get into that mask. And
I would put the costume on and play in it and get yelled at all the time. You're gonna ruin it, you know, hearing all that stuff. But it was just so much fun, man.
yeah, when I got kids now. You have kids now. Um, my wife would say the same things to my kids, and I would stop her and say, "Let them enjoy it. It's gonna wear it for one night, and they're
Right.
not gonna wear it again. Let them wear this damn thing. If we have to, we'll buy another one. But let them, because I knew what that was like. Let them
Mm.
enjoy this. It should be more than that night. Let them wear that damn thing out.
Yeah, it should be like a whole season, you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, there should be more than just, you'd have your school Halloween party, and then you'd go trick or treat, and then it was pretty much over, you
Yep.
know?
Because,
So,
Halloween's always, it's on a different night every year. It's not like Thanksgiving where it's the third Thursday of the month or whatever. So parents are like, I got to work in the morning, kid. Let's hurry this up, you know?
yeah, yeah, and the worst one I can recall, and God forbid this happens, but it did, especially where I was from in Nebraska. We had the seasons, and
Mhm.
there was a lot of snow, there was a lot of rain, and about that time of the year, you're going to get the rain before it starts turning to snow in November, December, January, February. But one night, it I was just happened to be one of those nights it rained, and it was raining all day, and it was coming down strong. So I must have been that might have been the year I had the Frankenstein, because I remember I couldn't wait to go out, right? Because that's what you did. And I was getting ready to go, and it's still raining. And my parents were like, "Why don't we just not go tonight, and we'll buy you candy?" I was like, "No, no, because you got to get in your mask. You got to get out and go door to door. That's what you did. That was the
Yeah, it's
fun, the
part
thrill
of
of
it.
it." Yeah, and so my brother he's 10 years older than me, and he must have been old enough to drive, because they said, "Well, what if your brother," and they had this old Datsun, two-door, those old freaking cheesy Datsuns. "What if he drives you around and just follows you while you go door to door?" And I was like, "Fine." So I went out in the rain, and there wasn't many kids, but
Mhm.
there was a few. And I went out in the rain, and I remember I'd go house to house, and he would just go, you know, eat, eat, and just drive house to house with me. But it was still fun, but it was a bit of a letdown, because I would have, like, my kid. I've been like, I'm not. It happens one night a year, and it happened to rain. I was 6. If my kids were like 14 and said that, I'd be like, "Come on, you can skip this year. You're 14. You probably shouldn't be doing it anyway. It's weird."
Right.
But I would have definitely went out with my kids. I'd have been like, "Rain's not going to kill me. Let's do this."
I think the first year, yeah, our first Halloween here in this house, it was cold. I mean, it was stupid cold, below freezing. It was like a freak cold front had come through. And I was like, well, why don't, exactly like you said, why don't we just skip it, blah, blah, blah. And then the kids were like, hell no, we're going. I froze my ass off that night. But we went, by God. We didn't go to a whole lot of houses, but we went.
Yeah, and sometimes, I don't know, on a night like that, if I can recall right, it wasn't a whole lot of houses anyways, because people just weren't, when they don't expect kids to show up, the lights come on. What was the key?
Right.
The sign was, "We're not serving candy tonight. We're closed. The lights are off." But God, man, it's one time of the year you look forward to, and to have rain ruin it, like that wasn't going to happen for me. And like I said, if it were my kids, I'd be like, "Fuck, let's do this. It's going to rain, but it's not going to kill me." So yeah, I remember that one because of the heartbreak.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to recall. There had to have been years that I couldn't go for weather or whatever, but I can't even recall them. Fortunately, it's good that I remember the good memories.
Yeah, I mean, I I can't even honestly give you details of what I did. I just know that for me, there's in my memory of the cool autumn or fall nights back then, the leaves falling. Halloween's always dear to me. The movies, because at Haddonfield, Illinois, that's kind of like what our neighborhoods look like. The trees weren't quite as big, but they were big, and it had that same feel. The houses next door, or door to door with each other, and that every time I see a show like that, I kinda just takes me back to those times, except for the rain's not falling,
Yeah, fuck the
and
rain.
its kid's brother's not following around door to door.
Pissed off
"Hurry
as
up!"
hell. You little shit! I can't believe I'm stuck doing this. He was pissed. He
Yeah.
had to have been.
Yeah, he was always a good brother, though, so he probably was like, he was good with me like that, I guess, and I was so much younger. I was probably, like, more of a kid to him than I was a brother, but yeah,
Well,
but those, one of the things I wanted to bring up was from what I see now having kids, and it's gotten a little bit better the last few years, I think. But there was a string, like when we were out and living in Vegas, and my kids were young. They were 6 and 3 at the time, and I think we finally moved out of there when my son was like 10. Um, that was a weird place to trick or treat because you had to pick a neighborhood. Like our neighborhood did nothing. So
hmm.
we would have to go get in the car and drive to a neighborhood that like our friends would live at or something, and they said it was real good there. So it was almost like hunting. Like the deer don't. There's not many deer here,
Hmm.
so we would. That's how it kind of went there. And when people knew about that specific neighborhood, then it would be busy. But it was kind of hit or miss. There were good neighborhoods. Ours was not. But you could go right across the street to our friends, and you know you'd be a whole other world, like, so
Hey,
we would have to
hey.
do that. But I noticed it was thinning out, and we'll get to that. Well, we can get to it now. When we were kids, there was that scare, remember? Even Halloween 2 has the part where the kid bites into the apple and he goes into the razor blades in his mouth.
Yep.
That was kind of based on that fear at the time.
Hmm.
And I'm loosely familiar with how it started, but so did your parents, when you would get the candy and you would bring it home, did they dump your bag out on the
Oh
floor
yeah.
and then check through all of it for
Yep.
needle marks or yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was a big thing, and they'd go, "Okay, everything looks good," and for some reason, they'd throw out a few things. Um, but that was a scare, and I think if I'm correct, it didn't even have anything to do with Halloween. What had happened was a dad a few years in like in late 70s or something wanted to kill his own son. So I think he poisoned his Halloween candy or something like that. And that's how that got started, that people were doing that. But I don't think there was ever a case of it.
I don't think there was either,
Mhm.
but I do remember that your screen just froze on me. Well, and that's buddy. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but well, there we have it.
What happened?
I have no idea. That was weird. You froze and then
Yeah, you froze on my end, and
We'll just all freeze together.
haunted. It's all that freaking talk.
That's what it is. And we haven't even got into any of that stuff yet.
Yeah, so I mean, what was I talking about?
You're
Yeah,
asking this guy.
that was all bullshit, right? Like,
Yeah.
that didn't even happen, and it was huge. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's as big now if the parents check the candy, but I do know that it seemed to weed out quite a bit. That it just doesn't seem to be as many kids. I think that like when we were kids, most of our parents were struggling, and if you can get free shit and we don't have to buy it, then go get it. Now I think parents are like, oh, we'll just buy your candy. Don't go out and beg.
Yeah. I know a lot of hospitals and things and such. They're do the X-ray, the free X-ray. That's a great comment in the room. Checking candy for marijuana edibles.
Boy, who's that from?
Bilbo Bixby.
That's the guy I want to have on. That's our partner in crime for maybe one of these shows. He he's kind of familiar with that stuff because he had to work in those fields in Vegas, so he probably knows what he's talking about. I don't. I remember I had a buddy out in Vegas, and he was really extremely paranoid about that. But he was a firefighter, and he would yell at his wife all the time because she would take the kids out, and he go, "Just buy them. We'll buy them candy." You don't know how easy it is, and I think he had said a thing with hepatitis. Like all they have to do is like if it's they have hepatitis, they could inject it, prick a needle, and put it into the candy, and the kids could get hepatitis. So,
Mm,
and again, I don't know if that happened, but he was Vegas and enforcement and emergency people tend to be a little paranoid because I think they see a lot
sure.
of stuff. So,
Yeah, he mentions a parent killed their kid by poisoning candy after trick or treat.
yeah, so that must have been the one I was just talking about. And that's where that stemmed from was um, that whole there wasn't anything. I don't think there was anything at all,
I think it was just
and
that
it just kind
one
of grew.
case.
Yeah, and I think that's the one that he's speaking
Yeah,
about.
and that's what sparked all the fear.
Yeah, I that's a crazy story. I wish I would have researched that more. He might know more about that, Bilbo. If he's got something on that, put that in for us because I don't really know the details, but I do remember looking that up. Um,
So much for
that's
show
crazy
prep.
because that changed our lives. That guy should. I hope he's in prison or he's probably dead now. But that changed our lives because remember we have to throw. Remember when you get a popcorn ball,
Oh yeah.
a fucking popcorn. You didn't want it anyway
No.
because you had like a freaking sugar daddy and you had some juju fruits, and then you get this popcorn ball, and
Those are the worst, man.
you don't want it when you. I mean, if you were, it's like vanilla wafers, right? Like my mom would always buy vanilla wafers when she could have got Oreos. If she had Oreos, I eat all the Oreos, but then I'd eat the vanilla wafers. Vanilla wafers are like smoking cigarette butts when you're out of cigarettes, right?
But they taste good in some banana pudding. I learned that at the old folks' home.
Um, yeah, apples.
Ugh.
Remember apples?
Anything that
Like,
wasn't candy was just like, what the fuck?
so do you think that? Do you think that that's more of a righteous thing? Like, they're having too much candy. I'm gonna throw them in something healthy.
I think it's probably 50-50. You know, there are some people that do that stuff because they think, and they're doing it for all the right reasons. You know, they're putting their heart into it and some loving and some, TLC and kids just don't want that shit, man.
No, 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 especially on that night. There's no reason but why your fruit bowl should be getting emptied into my freaking trick or treat bag on Halloween.
That's right, man.
I remember, and this is kind of skipping a holiday, but I went to one year. I always loved Christmas, but I liked it at home because I felt it was in my element. I knew what I was getting. And one year, my parents were like, "We're gonna go see the grandparents for Christmas," and it was my mom's mom and dad. And later, so they didn't have much money, but there was a stocking hung up for me on Christmas morning because of course we were at their place. So somebody, my grandpa, hung a stocking up, and in the stocking was a $5 bill and a bunch of fruit, like apples and bananas, because it must have been a last minute thing. But the interesting thing is, I went into the kitchen, and the fruit bowl that was in there the day before that had fruit in it now didn't have fruit in it, and that's because it was in my fucking stocking. And I remember going, Jesus Christ, like,
Well, that's appropriate on
wow.
Christmas.
Oh, God. But anyhow,
Did you see Bilbo's comment?
um,
The case of Ronald O'Brien, the man who killed Halloween.
oh wow, huh? Yeah. So Ronald O'Brien, um, yeah, way to go, Ronald, you fucking douchebag.
Yeah,
So we had to
loser.
go through, yeah, and then he caused the whole urban legend. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, there's some truth to it, but he caused an urban legend, and then we had to. So do you remember getting your bag, and then you dump it? Your parents would dump it out, and your mom would go through it. And what is my fucking mom's not a detective? What did she think she was looking for? I mean, my mom didn't even know how to pay a phone bill.
That's hilarious.
I love you, Mom. No, seriously, like, so what was she looking for? So I remember just sitting there. You ever like give your dog a treat? You're like, huh? And then you forget, and they're like sitting there looking at you, like, give me the fucking treat.
Right.
Jesus, I've been sitting. They're doing whatever they think you need them to do to get the treat. That's what it was like as a kid when they're looking through your candy. You're like, oh shit, are you done? Can I have a piece yet? You can have here. This one's clean, and they'd scoot you a piece on the floor. God damn, I'm flashing. Now I'm mad. Now I'm fucking mad.
Wow. Some deep-seated Halloween issues going on over here.
Yeah, but they covered that in Halloween too, right? So that I think that's where that whole thing stemmed from, right? Thanks, Ronald. He actually made it into Halloween.
Douche. Hope you're
Yeah,
getting butt fucked by Hitler right now.
yeah, fucker. One thing I will say about the candy that we had is, do you remember those? There were little twist candy. They came in orange,
Oh yeah, the
like wax
generic.
wrappers and black.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was like a nugget,
Yeah,
nougat,
some kind of
right?
maple something. Yeah.
Right, and there was a lot of those. There was a lot of Smarties. You get some occasional wax bottles. One of those wax
Oh
bottles,
yeah.
which that was a
That was a
joke.
guilty pleasure for back then.
Yeah, Pixie Stick, Sugar Daddies, Raisinets were big,
Sugar
but
babies.
Sugar Babies, yeah. My kids get killer shit. Like they'll get like full candy bars. Like last year, my daughter had she had a full bag of just. We kind of get into it, so we'll always like go and hit when we were living in Kansas City. I would go to like 2 or 3
Uh-huh.
neighborhoods. One time, her bag was she broke her bag and had to get another
Oh
bag.
jeez.
Yeah, the handles fell off the bag because it was so heavy. But they would give and this one too, the last one we were at last year. I'll bet she had like 12 to 15 full size candy bars.
Wow.
Like people were just giving out full size candy bars. They give it pops. I didn't get that
The
shit.
hell
You
no.
got those little wax paper. I mean, I'll bet you 75% of my Halloween treats, or those. Do you remember those little? Um, they were like 4 in a little sealed tube, and they were like chocolate covered, like not Whoppers, but you get Whoppers too. But there was I don't know what they were called, but I got a lot of those. But we got trash. I mean, we really
Candy
got.
corn.
Oh, that was a big one.
Yep.
Circus peanuts.
Yes.
Peanuts. Circus peanuts.
Yeah. Awful.
Penis.
Penis.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
You like it when Scruffy rubs up and down against your leg? Ever been to a
But yeah,
Turkish prison?
Every time my kids, your kids don't believe you, but every time, like last year's bag, I was like, we didn't get that kind of shit. You guys got it so good.
There we go. Look at that. The
I,
gross Tootsie Rolls that aren't chocolate. Yeah. But you know what? We ate that shit
Tootsie
anyway.
Rolls were big. What's
We
that?
ate that shit anyway. At least I did.
Yeah, we didn't know what we were missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we didn't know. We didn't have any idea. But if I looking back, if I could choose and pick, I wouldn't pick my bags over what my daughter
Oh,
has.
hell no.
Yeah, she's got all the good shit. But by the way, they still do put popcorn balls in Halloween bags.
People, let that shit go. Nobody wants your
Yeah, that was
fucking
going right in the
popcorn.
trash, right? I always said it was almost like they were handing those things to you, saying, "Here, you throw this away for me,"
Right,
because
right,
you knew
right.
when you got home you were throwing that goddamn thing away.
Well,
The apples that was going in the
when
trash.
we got older, we'd throw them at each other.
The apples or the popcorn balls.
Yes.
Yes. So what do you remember most about it? What like
Pretty much everything that you just hit on is getting so frustrated waiting. Give me my damn candy. Before they inspect it and all that. That's the one of the biggest things when I was younger that really stands out. Yeah, it was fun going around in your costume and stuff, but boy, the anticipation of just getting that loot, that booty, that pirate booty. Man, that was the killer because it's right there in front of you and you can't have it. How many times did you sneak a piece?
I don't know. I'm probably more a ton. Um, like you mean when you were out walking? I think you'd. Yeah, I gotta say this though. I was worried.
Yeah.
Because there was the big thing where they'd put needles into it, or they'd put razors into it, or they'd poison it. So it did bother me. Leave it to a parent to just scare the shit out of a kid. No matter what.
the,
What is he saying? Like biting a styrofoam sphere. That's exactly what it's like.
yeah, it tastes the same.
Yeah,
Consistency's the
and you
same.
cut your fucking roof of your mouth on those popcorn balls too, right? Like,
Or how about the
um,
caramel apples? Did you ever get those?
oh yeah, yeah,
And I wanted to eat them so bad. That was one of the first things in the trash.
yeah. Well, that was the thing so my parents thought that if you got an apple or a popcorn ball, that automatically meant that it was poison,
Yeah, right,
right? So the popcorn ball, especially because someone made this with poison,
right.
because they were trying to conceal it. Like I don't want to inject each piece of candy with strychnine. It'd be much easier if I could just bake it into everything. So that's what my parents thought. So like the popcorn balls are automatically going in the trash can because they probably just had a big like witch's pot and they would stir it and make
Boy,
make up that strychnine balls.
I'd like to be smoking what they were smoking.
Hey, you know what? They might have been poisoned. We don't know because no one fucking ate them. So we don't know if there could have been some victims.
I bet you there's some retard out there that ate them. Boy, I love Halloween because I get my popcorn balls.
Like a Charlie Brown. Remember how he always got rocks? But there's a kid out there that just got nothing but popcorn balls. Like, oh my god, I got a Hershey bar. I got a popcorn
He'd
ball.
take a bite and lick the window.
Crisis averted. Yeah, throw that fucking popcorn ball in the styrofoam ball. Speaking of that, let's talk about some specials.
I just talked about one.
What was
The
that?
kid that's eating the damn popcorn balls.
Special, not the special needs.
Oh.
The specials, the Halloween specials, because that was also a big thing, which maybe I don't keep up with it enough because I don't watch the Cartoon Network, but that was a pretty big thing when every Halloween it seemed like you'd get some sort of Halloween special, right? And of course, everybody knows the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, and that still plays today. It's on every year. But depending on, you could pretty much timeline our generation with like what cartoons were popular. Like you'd get like Garfield, or you'd get Fat Albert. I remember the Fat Albert one,
Hey,
which I
hey,
love.
hey.
Yeah, so you'd get those, but can you think of any um, off the top of your head that stuck out that you liked, you watched every year?
No, I'm racking my brain. As you started talking about that, I started thinking, I'm like, I can't. I remember them being, specials that would come out, but I can't recall even a single one other than the Charlie Brown. But I know there
Yeah,
had to. I mean, there had to have been.
yeah, there was. I still have the Garfield one. I bought that on Amazon because when my kids were going through all this, I would look. Oh, this one's great. You're gonna love it. And the Garfield one really is good.
Hmm.
He gets on. Him and Odie are out trick or treating. And they end up getting on a boat and getting taken to some mysterious island. And it's like they run into like a pirate ship. What's he saying?
He said, "My kids are bored with the Great Pumpkin, and it hurt my feelings. That is my generation's Halloween extravaganza."
Yeah, that's for sure. Because I think I watch it every year.
Hmm.
And it's if you have Apple TV, they'll play it on there,
Really?
and they still play it on TV. I think they do it twice a year, so you can always find that one. But like the Garfield one, that's a classic. I don't know if anybody's familiar. Like I said, I bought it. It was only like $1.99 on Amazon, and I'll watch it this year. Um, but along with Christmas specials, we had a lot of that, right? Halloween specials.
It's
I'm trying to
crazy.
think of other ones. The Fat Albert one, where they all were they were freaking trick or treating in the ghetto, which we were worried about popcorn balls being poisoned. Can you imagine what these kids were worried
Right?
about?
Damn.
That I thought that we were going to get shot, Albert. I remember that. I still because I think you can still pull that up on like Netflix or whatever. But they ran into some old. They thought it's kind of the old haunted house thing.
Hmm.
And there was some old man who they end up. I'm sure there was a message in it. I can't really remember. Um,
It's driving me crazy that I can't think of any.
do you remember Roseanne every year would have a big, huge like they were really into? So they'd play practical, like a practical joke, but they'd always have a big Halloween special.
Hmm.
But that was more like just fitting into their season.
Right.
But it was a big thing with them. Um,
She's a crazy bitch, man. Gosh, she's
yeah.
crazy.
Wow. I mean, and I want to be on her
I do
side.
too.
But then when you listen to her today, it's like I think the cheese fell off her cracker. I
Yeah.
mean, it did a little bit.
She's crazy, man. Certifiable.
Yeah.
Roseanne always brought the prime time gore. Yeah, there you go.
Well, speaking of that, she did. So they were really into that. They would always play some sort of practical joke, but they were really known for their Christmas specials. So I think they even did a 3D one year,
Hmm.
and I know because even at the age of 20 something, I watched that with my parents with 3D goggles on. So that's out there now. Um, Elvira.
Oh yeah.
Elvira was a big part of that, which I still love that. The is it Mistress of the Dark? I'll watch that this year. That's a good movie, by the way. I think it was done by the same people that did like Pee Wee's Big Adventure and stuff like that. But that's a good movie. She had the Haunted Mansion, which isn't as good, but she's a big fixture of that time frame and
For
era.
sure.
That's about all I can think of. There was a ton.
It's funny. She's not even a true brunette.
No, all right, yeah. She's got a she had an autobiography come out last year. I almost got it. But it talks about her life, and it seems to be a really good
Hmm.
person. Like, um, just good all around. Had a kind of a rough life. I think she's got like big percentage of her body. She was in a fire or something, or chemical burns or something. I'm not certain, but uh, she was a sex symbol, and that's why she always had those stockings on and stuff like that. But she played the part well because she's not like that. So it's pretty much an act, but she did it well, really well, and made quite a. So I like her. I wasn't. too much into her when I was younger, but I've gotten to appreciate her a lot more. And like I said, I'll watch her movie every year. Um,
I bet you do.
yeah, it's funny because I didn't find her hot then, but now I look at her and I'm like, oh, she's kind of looks like a Morticia Adams, but a hot. Of course, Morticia's kind of hot too. If you go back and look. What about now? This is one I want to do a special on, and it's you don't want to do it. Cassandra Peterson, yeah, got her start in the comedy troupe, the Groundings, right,
Hmm,
Paul? Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, she was definitely good. Um, the Paul Lynde Halloween special, which you say you can't do, and I'm trying to get
I,
our other buddy to hop into us. He hasn't seen it either, but he's a big horror fan, and that's
I will
Bill
try to
Bose.
watch it again.
It's how long is it? 45 back then, 44 minutes.
No, it felt like the 5 minutes I watched was 3 4 hours.
Well, for those that don't know anything about it, it is I think it's Kiss. What made it so big was it was Kiss's first primetime live special. So the band Kiss, they were huge. They wore the costumes themselves. That's one that a lot of people dressed up like when we were kids. Remember
Yeah.
that? A
Yep.
lot of people they pick their favorite Kiss guy. They dress up like him. Um, but they fit that era perfectly. So that was the big selling point on the Paul Lynde Christmas special was he was having them on. The show is it's pretty bad, but it's
Christmas or Halloween?
I'm sorry, I always say Christmas, Halloween special. So they were on that, so everyone tuned in to watch that, and it's kind of got a following because of that. I didn't really get wind of it till probably about 5 6 years ago. I'd never seen it as a kid, and me and my wife were having some drinks one night, and it was on Halloween night. I said, "Let's put this on," and she didn't want to watch it. She goes, "This is just cheesy as shit. I can't do this." And it's
Smart
so
woman.
bad that it becomes almost like now it's like a tradition. Every Halloween we'll watch this movie or show special, and it's got the lady that played Pinky Tuscadero's in it. The lady that I can't remember her was the witch in the Wizard of Oz is in it. I think Tim Conway's in it.
That was a funny dude.
Yeah, and then Paul Lynde. I don't know if you know who he is, but
I
you
know
do.
who he
Yeah.
is.
It's Paul Rubin. Yeah, so there's
Oh
the
wow.
connection. So Bilbo's saying that the Groundings, that's the movie with Cassandra Peterson, started the careers of Paul Rubens, Phil Hartman, and Melissa McCarthy. Really?
Yeah. Wow.
Wow, I didn't know she was around back then.
Oh, she's around.
That's Melissa McCarthy from Spy, right?
Yeah, I think so. Lamb chop. Ha ha. Oh, I remember that. Wow, that's going way back, man.
Lamb
Remember
chop?
that lady did the puppet with the lamb? His name was Lamb
Uh-uh.
Chop.
No, I don't remember that.
Wow, that made me feel really old. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a classic though. You got to watch it, and like I said, do your whatever it is you're smoking these days. You can't watch it sober, so I'll have some drinks. Me and my wife will watch it. I kind of want to get her in on that one because she made so much. She goes, I can't do this. And then
Yes.
yes, used to be in. So Paul Lynde used to be in the Hollywood Squares, and he's also in Bewitched, right? He was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So it was funny because if you read in the articles on him, I guess he was a huge alcoholic. He was mean to like a lot of the people around him in his life, and it was funny. I always get a kick. He was secretly gay, but he didn't want anybody to know it because it wasn't accepted. Well, Paul, I got news for you. I was like fucking 6 the first time I seen you, and I don't even know if I knew what gay was, but I knew you were it, right? I love when like George Michael came out and he's like up there. Remember we like clapping on he's got the short shorts on, "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go," and then he
Yeah.
comes out like 30 years later. Ah, by the way, I'm gay, and everyone's like,
Yeah, no
by the
shit.
way, we knew.
Yeah. Get out of here. You fucking pulling my leg, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's funny that he thought he was concealing that.
Yeah, he's flamboyant as hell, man.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, Bilbo was talking about. So he's talking about Hollywood Squares that we were talking earlier, and he mentioned another guy because I think at first he was confused, but he was thinking of Charles Nelson Riley.
Oh
He
yeah,
was
that's
also
another
on
one.
Hollywood Squares, and he wasn't gay. I think his wife actually was
But his
on
wife
Hollywood.
was.
What?
He said he wasn't gay, but his wife was.
No, his wife was on Hollywood Squares, and but he did seem gay. But it's Charles Nelson Riley who was on there. He was
He's always smoking the pipe.
yeah, Charles, and yeah.
Yeah.
But anyhow, it's a great special. So I want to kind of cover that. And then Kiss had one. So we'll go back to Kiss. They had a Halloween movie. I remember Frankenstein. I loved it as a kid. But at the end, they fight like in a circus. It's terrible. Like they were trying to get kind of, Kiss they were really business people. And they knew how to get their names out there. So there's that one. And then one that I'd really like to get Bilbo on is John Carpenter. I'd like to cover I know it's been done ad nauseum, but the Halloween franchise. And for that matter, we could even talk about, Carpenter's a master of horror. The Thing, the Thing to me, I'm going to watch that soon. That holds up. That never gets bad. It's still great. And I know that Bilbo loves that show as well. So he would have a lot of great input into those movies because he's a big, super horror fan. So that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Well, Bilbo, you're welcome to come on the show, my friend. From what Ryan says, you're a wealth of knowledge, and I'm not. So I'd love to have you.
Yeah, we could probably just let him talk the whole time and just sit back and learn some stuff. But I'm
okay with that too.
Yeah, I'm a big horror fan, but he's on a whole other level, which is fun for me because I get to learn a lot of stuff. By the way, speaking of horror movies, I watched a great one. I bought a great one, and I wanted to see it, but it was called yeah, for sure, buddy. Yeah, I'd love to get him on here to talk about that. And I'd like to like I said, I was talking about Beaten to Death. You can buy that on Amazon right now, and it's only like an hour and a half long. It's got some pretty gross scenes if you like that Australia horror, the Outback kind of horror, but it's great. And,
what's it called again?
The Beaten to Death. But it's got a lot of people were kind of grossed out by it because it's got some eye stuff that happens, eyeball stuff. But I thought it was a great movie.
Who hasn't seen an eyeball pop out? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Here's what did he say? Creature FX.
Oh, there's comment up above. See Red Satire FX by the master Rob Boughton, I think. Boughton, who doesn't do FX anymore. Yeah, that's why we just need you to come on because I can't speak to that at all.
Well, are you a fan of the Halloween, the original 78?
So I've seen them, but yeah, that's about it. It's been so long since I've seen them that I wouldn't have any intelligent dialogue for the show.
Yeah, and yeah, he's referring to the Thing effects, and that was I was just bringing up the Halloween thing just to see where we're going. But now, are you familiar with the movie The Thing? Which is
yes, I just saw that again not too long ago, maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah, and what do you think of that?
It's I'm trying to remember. I think I read the book, but it was pretty good. I enjoyed it, and I'm not a big horror genre type of
Mhm.
person.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's top 5 for sure. It's funny because I hadn't seen it in years, and I wanted to watch it with my kids, so I put it on one night. And they're like, "I don't wanna watch a movie," and they got into it because I don't think you can't not
Right.
get into that movie because it is the scene, and it still got me years later when they're testing the blood. Yeah, The
Yes.
Thing's a remake,
Yes.
yeah, so Bilbo's saying The Thing's actually a remake. It is a remake. I don't know what the exact year of the first one was, but it was, black and white, I believe, and it was based on a book like you were saying. Um, I've never seen the original.
I think I have.
You have?
I think so.
Is
Pretty
it
sure I
is it
have.
good?
What's
It
that?
can't be like Carpenter's, but
No, it's your typical older cheesy. It's not bad, but yeah, Carpenter's blows it away.
The Thing from Another World from the '50s monster has a Okay, you know what? I like cheesy, so I'm gonna put that on my list.
Quick, get the rabbits. That's hilarious. Yeah, those '50s movies were horrible,
Yeah, I
but
just watched one, I can't
but
even
they paved the way. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
uh-huh. Yeah, The Thing and that terrible prequel, which is that the one, so the prequel is the one with, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and that came out a couple years ago, I believe. It's kinda like is it the version from where it's okay, so then when they show up, there's the dog shows up, but it was from another camp of I think was it Russians? But it shows, like, but it's kind of the same exact thing,
Hmm.
but it's from their point of view. You know what I'm talking about? Bilbo, is that right? Am I right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense in a way. I
Yeah,
mean,
point of view from the Norwegian camp. So, when they first show up, they go to that camp, and those people have been, like, butchered, but they don't know why. So, the prequel that he's talking about, um, revisits it. So, really what it is they're trying to capitalize on the Thing and redo it, but they're trying to reboot The Thing because it's kind of the same movie, if I'm correct. I've only seen it once, and I seen it a couple years ago because I
I
didn't even
mean,
know it existed.
the concept has a lot of potential, but if it's not written well, if it's not shot well, then
And if it's not Carpenter, because I don't think
right.
anybody can do Carpenter. There
No.
was one that came out a couple years ago that I liked, and I can't remember the name of it. But the guy kind of used Carpenter's music, and that can help.
Mhm.
But even movies like Christine, that he just did them so memorable. What does that say? Really good,
K&B special effects, but were scrapped for awful CGI.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the now. What that was that the Thing or what was the name of that? The Thing 2 or the Thing? Like, how did they even title that movie?
I
But
don't
I
know.
remember Mary Elizabeth Winstead was in it, and she was like, of course, the strong, powerful woman because they had to replace Kurt Russell, which you can't.
Right.
That's another thing. Kurt was in a lot of Carpenter's movies, and it's really hard to switch him out. Um, good luck.
He's probably one of the more underrated actors in Hollywood, in my opinion.
Um, Reservoir Dogs and he
No kidding.
mm.
All this stuff I had no clue over.
Well, if we had him on, we could
You
we
know
could
what we could do? We could actually open up the phone line. And if he
yeah, I
wants to
think
call.
right now he's with his kids. He's at one of his son's events,
Oh, okay.
so I don't think he's going to be able to do that. We will get him on though for sure if he's up to doing it. Um, what What was it? So he says the prequel was originally titled The Thing.
Hmm.
Was that the name that it was released under? I wonder. Um,
No
yeah,
worries.
see if he could
No worries.
yeah, so yeah, we'll definitely get him on here. See, so he you can see right there that he's just spewing shit off like off the top of his head. Which
Right.
I know a lot about movies, but not to this degree, obviously. Like I think the first time I'd seen that movie was like I said a couple years ago, and it didn't really stick with me. But the one thing I did notice is that they were really just kind of trying to reboot the thing without rebooting the thing.
See, I would say that you're at the baccalaureate level of horror movies. He's straight up doctorate level. He's teaching.
He goes sarcasm doesn't come out well over chat. No, it's
No,
not quite as good. It's text message or anything. It's always taken the wrong way.
especially when
Yeah.
you don't know how to read.
I struggle so much now. Um, yeah, he also says that it was what was it unoriginally released as The Thing. So,
Hmm.
wow, that's really bad. So if you would think that going into it, then it's The Thing reboot or The Thing remake, and you're not even getting that. You're getting like a whole other story, which I don't even know how you could name that. But you could tell it is a reboot, but it's taken from like he says, the Norwegian side of things.
I think you title it shit
Shit. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
move on.
Well, if I remember right, it's not actually bad, but when you're stepping into it's just like
Shit.
Star Wars, right? Star Wars, the originals were so good that it was almost impossible for Lucas to, when he did the prequels, so many people got after him because they weren't as good. Well, shit, they couldn't have been, right? It was
Mm-mm.
impossible. So you kind of stepping into that territory. Whenever you're going to remake a Carpenter movie, you're going to struggle with that. But like I would love to do something like that where we do the Halloweens, we do all the influence he had.
Oh my God, you're so right.
Yeah, so Bilbo says Hollywood is devoid of any original and independent films, and the only thing interesting anymore. Yeah,
Yeah, it's all reboot this, reboot that. There's, yeah, I agree.
they're hacks.
Total.
They're just hacks. Like which if you appreciated good movies, you're in the wrong. I was a big Magnum PI fan, right? And then they were going to redo Magnum, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so excited!" And then they redid it. I was like, "Oh God, I'm so pissed." And I watched like 3 episodes, and maybe it's good, but it's just not the same thing. And I say now that people say, "Oh, I wish they'd remake that." No, you don't, man. If you liked that movie, The Thing, anything, hard. What's one you like?
Heartbreak
Heartbreak
Ridge.
Ridge. You don't want them to remake that right now.
Yeah, right. Both
Yeah.
Halloween
So he
remakes.
says.
Anyone?
So Bilbo says both Halloween remakes. Anyone? Yeah. Um, I am not a Rob Zombie fan. I don't like any of his movies.
Never heard of her.
Rob Zombie?
I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He puts his wife in everything. She's not really bad. She's not really good. And but those were terrible. And I think if you're a real Halloween fan, which I always was, one of the things he was my favorite as a kid growing up because you had Jason or you had him, and then you had Freddy Krueger along the way. One of the things that we loved, me and my friends, about Michael Myers was the mystery because you
Hmm.
really didn't know. Like you thought he was just maybe a demon, but you didn't know. And the mystery was really the tale. Zombie comes along and does it and feels that he has to give it a backstory. And to me, it's like, well, that you're ruining, you literally stripped away what made him so good. And that was the mystery. Because
Right.
it wasn't really a slasher. There wasn't even that much blood. The scary part was that no one knew what the fuck was happening. Bilbo says that weird Rob Zombie Halloween white trash Michael Myers backstory didn't hit with you. No, it didn't. Yeah, that's just it.
I wonder
There
what
was
gave it
one scene
away.
I kinda liked, and that's when he's first starting out, and it's kinda brutal where he gets the guy out in front of the headlights. I thought that was kinda well done. He's stabbing him, and it's brutal, and he's making but
Don't ever do that again, please.
like that, with the guy doing. But that was,
We're gonna
yeah,
get
it was
banned
they're
now.
trash, they're garbage, and I can't think of one zombie movie I like, honestly.
I can't either.
I'm a Munsters fan, and he fucking ruined that too, which is like, Jesus. I have a buddy we have a buddy, me and Bilbo, um, who there's 2 people I think he likes. It's Eli Roth, so he likes all the hacks.
Hmm.
So he likes Eli Roth, and he likes Rob Zombie movies, and I remember he went through this kick of, it was really interesting because he had, yeah, the season on screen? Yeah, so Bilbo says Halloween 3 is the season on screen. Yeah, now, I will say this, I know a lot of people didn't like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Do you remember that one, Andy?
No.
So they got away from Michael Myers because originally Carpenter had an idea of it being a trilogy. He didn't even wanna do he wanted one to be its own thing, then he wanted to do a trilogy of a whole different story, and that was what it was. He had each there would be 3, and they would each be different.
Huh.
But Halloween was such a hit that they pushed him into doing Halloween 2. So he came along and does 3, which is completely different, no Michael Myers, but I love that one, and that's one of my favorite Halloween movies, and I'm glad that he just mentioned that because that's a great one. I don't know how he feels about that, but for me, I think it's completely underrated. It's something I've seen a million times. It was always on the HBO loop. I seen it nonstop, and I watched it every year.
I might have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's where, I actually got a mask. I've got the Silver Shamrock. I got the skull mask that I bought years ago from, Trick or Treat Studios, and they were doing, like, the collection of it, but it's just a whole different story. It kinda tied together a little bit through the evil Sam Hain kinda thing or whatever it is. Bilbo would know a lot better than me. Um,
He said it's amazing.
yeah, okay, good, good. I'm glad we agree on that. Yeah, it is. I think it is, and it's quick, it's to the point. Uh, Bilbo, who's the guy, that plays the lead? Yeah, yeah, so it finishes, at the very end, he's trying to stop so the whole story is they're gonna play this, uh it's a commercial, and it's all about these 3 masks. They want kids to wear these masks, and if they wear them, it will send a signal through their brain, and I think it kills them, right? So it's a sacrifice, but at the very end, you don't really know what happens, and he's yelling at the TV, "Turn it off!" But who
Hmm.
Tom Atkins, right. So, the lead guy, Tom Atkins, he was also in The Fog. He is, I believe, the police officer in Halloween
Hmm.
1, but he's great, and I've heard from people that have met him, actually, Bilbo's probably met him too, that he's a great guy, like, in real life. But that's a movie I could talk about too. So maybe we'll change this around a little bit, we'll do maybe the 3 Halloweens.
All
Halloween
right.
2 is not much to talk about unless you just wanna do that Halloween setting forever.
Fair enough. I'll skip Halloween too. I'll go right to 3.
Did you see Halloween 3? Or 2? I
No.
mean, Halloween 2.
I think I've seen 2 a long
Yeah, it's
time
the one in the
ago, but
hospital, like, the whole movie's in the hospital.
yeah, I can vaguely remember. She's running around a damn hospital gown, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they kill him off, they actually kill him off in that one, and then that's when they go ahead and do season but you should definitely watch, Season of the Witch.
Is did the cop kill him in 2? Is that right?
Dr. Loomis killed him in 2, shot him through the eyes. So
Okay, I knew
yeah.
he got shot. Okay.
So here's where we're picking up. Halloween 2 is my favorite. Bilbo says, and believe me, he's kidding when he says that. Uh, but you know what? It does get a lot of Carpenter didn't want to do it. This is when I wish we had him on because he'd know all the insides and outs, but he didn't want to do it, and they kind of rushed him into doing it. So he slapped together something quick for the studios. I mean, I don't mind it. He's saying dead serious. Okay. Wow. I'm shocked at that. I wonder why. You know,
Boobies,
Reddit, why is that your favorite, Bilbo? I don't think
boobies.
it's that bad, and that's where I was going with that. It gets a bad rap because it's kind of his quick rip off, and he's just kind of playing it, producing it for the studios. But it's really not that bad. Um, Trying to think of some memorable killings in it. The first one's pretty cool when he's on the loose and walking through the house, and he picks up the knife, and I don't know. We're just going into the details. What? Why is that your favorite?
The blood
So
and
he says the
boobs.
blood and the boobs. Yeah, well, I can't argue with that. I get
Who can?
it.
If you can
Um,
argue with that, this ain't the show for you.
the boobs, what he's referred to so there is more blood in that one. I did think that one was cool with the like I was talking about. She takes it's a baby lady right by herself at the beginning, and then he cuts her throat, and you just see blood splatter up and on the wall. And the boobs he's talking about's God, she's hot too. And that lady's been in some stuff too, right? Because I think she made quite a career off of that part. But it's the jacuzzi part inside the hospital because there's like a hot tub and they're in it, and she ends up getting her face melted off. But you know,
Well, shit happens.
the candy apple scene, yep. So Bilbo says the candy apple scene. And yeah, picking up the nurse with the scalpel, good one. I was thinking that
Damn.
in the hot tub, yeah, human boil, right? So you remember the scene? Jamie Lee Curtis, I think she's screaming out for help, and then he stabs her in the back with a scalpel, and he lifts her up off the ground. So she's like, yeah.
That's impressive
See,
as
goddamn,
hell.
we got to get him on here for this.
For sure.
And he's running
Well,
these off faster than we can talk.
well, that we could wrap it up and save that for when he does come on the show.
Yeah, let's do that. So that's what I'm kind of thinking. But as we're talking here more and getting him, I would like we can cover it all. We can cover. Let's do that. Make a point to cover the 3 Halloween. So what I want you to do, homework, Andy. I need you to
Yeah.
watch 2, and I need you to watch the Season of the Witch, which which
Which
which is probably my favorite. But it's so to me, it's just so different, and because it has that nostalgic thing because I've seen it so much, and I always wondered why Michael Myers wasn't in it, but I also didn't really care because to me, on its own, it's a good horror movie. If I think if you leave Halloween out of it, and people, I think that's what confused people was where's Michael Myers. I
hmm.
think if you, it's just completely different. But so watch 2, and then watch 3, Season of the Witch.
I'm gonna start tonight,
Yeah.
right now after we finish.
Okay. And then if we can get Bilbo on here, I'll stop and listen. Want to hear you.
Or myrtleize it.
Yeah, so he'll be good to have on because he sees a lot of stuff that we'll probably miss or goes over our heads because he has such deeper appreciation for that genre.
Guarantee it's gonna go over my head.
Well, he might get us appreciate like I was shocked that Halloween 2 is his favorite, but maybe he can talk us into why it's the best.
Sounds like a
Maybe
good
I'm missing
idea.
something. Yeah, he's got a lot. He gives me a lot of recommendations. He goes deep into it. He knows a lot of the obscure stuff that like you or I've never even heard of. He introduced me a couple years back to a couple of them, and I watched them afterwards. And he has a deep appreciation for that work,
Hmm.
and he's big into those horror festivals. He's actually coming out here, I think next March. He said to a big haunted house festival. So that's how deep he gets into this. So
That's cool. So
yeah,
I'm curious. I'm curious to hear his thoughts, and of course I'll revisit this when it comes on. But with being such a big fan of the horror genre, I want to know his thoughts on paranormal. Do you believe? Do you not? Have you ever been to a real haunted house? Just curious.
um, yeah.
But we'll wait and get him on, and I'll ask that again.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be a good question for him.
I know the
I
two
don't
are
know if
separate,
I
totally
could probably
different.
answer that for him. I'll tell you this. He has a lot of memorabilia that would freak me out to even have in my house.
Hmm.
When I say that, there's a lot of, like, he's into the autographs by, like, he has a lot of serial killer stuff. Now, keep in mind, when you think of, if I were to say this guy has, like, Charles Manson's autographed picture on his wall, you would think lunatic. But it's really the complete opposite because he's on the, he would be the Batman to Charles Manson's Robin. So and I won't go into detail because I don't think that's something that he wants to talk about. But it's really quite the opposite. He just finds, and maybe it's like a little bit of, what's the word?
Fascination.
Not fascination, but release for him in a
Hmm.
way from maybe some life he's had in terms of what he's done for employment. But um, everybody has their kick, and I think that fascinates him. And it does me too, because I remember I was always a big horror fan growing up. And back in the day, nobody would know this today, but people in our generation, our age group would definitely know it. It wasn't really okay to admit you liked horror because the first thing
Right.
you'd say, and we talked about this during the Stephen King podcast, he wasn't always this popular. He was popular, but to a certain kind of group or niche,
Certain
so to
niche.
speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, it's like comic books. You watch comic books, and then that got infiltrated by everybody. And now look what's happening to it. You read science fiction, and now that's been infiltrated. But horror, especially, was like that. You kind of, if you told people you were a horror fan, and especially if you said, like, "Oh, I love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre," you'd say, what's wrong with you?"
Right.
Well, nothing. I'm not going to kill people, but I enjoy it. And that was really just emotional stimulation for most people. You like comedies. Some people, they want to stimulate that emotions. For me, it was horror. Um, for some people, it's romance or sad movies or something like that. But it really was different then. And, now it's every women like them. And I don't remember girls liking horror movies when we were kids.
No.
Oh,
But,
yuck.
but
I'd
you
rather go
always
see Still Magnolias.
but you always wanted to try to get them to go with you,
Hmm.
so they'd hug up on you when they got scared.
Right. Well, yeah. Um, but that's really the truth of it. So when you kind of get, that doesn't mean it. I think it just kind of, for me, I like that scared. I always kind of try to chase that, shock me, shock me.
Mm.
For me, the more gore, the better. Um, and that might sound weird to a lot of people, but I like to be push that envelope, shock me. That doesn't mean I want to go out and hurt people. That's the last thing I would want to do. But I go into movies knowing they're movies,
Right.
and knowing that no one's really getting hurt here. So yeah, dude, I think it's funny though, right? You think back at that and you go, um, it really was taboo back then.
Hmm.
I remember I was a huge heavy metal fan. And Bilbo's by the way, huge thrash, death, heavy metal stuff, the more modern stuff. But he also goes back to the older. He has a deep respect for that. But I myself remember loving Motley Crue, all those bands, and then there were the people that loved Michael Jackson and stuff. And if you liked like Motley Crue, they thought you were kind of a devil worshiper or a weirdo or
Right.
a big
Right.
Ozzy fan. I wasn't. I like the music, but that's even more common today, right? You
Yeah.
can like that stuff because they've infiltrated everything, you know. So yeah,
Always them
yeah, always them. God damn it.
fuckers. Well, let's wrap it up, man.
Yeah, let's do that.
Good show. I'm really looking forward to getting Bilbo on. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, he will. So that's what I was thinking. I think I finished up here. Let me put my freaking glasses on so I can read. I want to do the Paul Lynch one, man. If you're up for it, I say we do that. I think Bilbo getting him on that. You guys are going to be going, Jesus, but that'd be fun. We don't have to do the Kish Halloween special, but if we have some time, we can do that. That one's going to be probably a tough watch, tougher because I think that's like 2 hours. But we'll do
Oof.
the John Carpenter. You want to do that? Should
I'm
we
gonna
do that
watch.
next, or should we do that closer to Halloween? What do you think?
I'm gonna watch them tonight. At least start. So let's. Well, it all depends on when we can get Bilbo on.
Yeah, and I'll talk to him in between then and now. If we can do it next week, we can do it then. I want you to watch that uh Paul Lynn one.
Hello, Easy Pickens.
Is that any relation to Slim Pickens?
I
Remember
don't know.
Slim
Maybe.
Pickens?
I do remember Slim Pickens. He wasn't real slim there in the end.
I don't know what he looked like. Um, yeah, let's do. I'll see what we can do, but those are some. If you come up with some ideas, we can do that. But I say we make this whole month. So every Wednesday we come up with some sort of other Halloween thing. Tonight we did more of a memories thing. We did do a lot of covered some Carpenter there. Actually, we can just carry this on over to the next week.
That's exactly what we're gonna do.
What do you
Portly
guys?
Pickens. Well, we're wrapping up actually. We've been talking about Halloween memories and favorite Halloween movie.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna close it out here. But like I said, I think we'll do this every Wednesday till we get to Halloween, and then we will. I don't know, man. I'll figure out if we can get Bilbo on here, and he can give us his vast knowledge. And then he's one of the guys I always turn to when I want a recommendation. I'll say, "Hey, man, give me something that I haven't seen or something I don't know about."
Smoking something, that's for sure.
Trick or treat. Now, is that Bilbo says trick or treat? That's the modern one, right? With what's the guy's name?
That one guy.
Canvas, that little figure. I think your son dressed up as him a couple years ago, right? That's the tails one. It has the three tails. Not the old, because remember there was a trick or treat with heavy metal guys like Ozzy Osbourne and shit back in the 80s.
Huh. Oh shoot, I couldn't even tell you right now. The movie with Sam.
Yep, that's it. Yep, that's it. That is a good one. And I should rewatch that too. and he says not Gene Simmons. So that's the one I was. There's two. But trick is the R, and then there's trick or treat, and that's the 86, I believe, in that area. But it's kind of a take on it's a heavy metal version of it.
I haven't. Have you watched Trailer Park Boys?
Trailer Park Boys? Nah, I've watched. I think I started the first few episodes of that.
I've never seen it. I don't watch a whole lot.
It
of
is
anything.
funny. It is funny. It's just a different style of humor. I never got deeper, but I think they have a few movies out too. So, yeah, it's probably something. If I got further into it, I'd like it. There's a lot of that stuff where people recommend stuff, and I don't really get into it initially, and then I'll keep going and go, damn it, why didn't I watch this sooner? I think I just finished something. I was like, God damn it, why didn't I watch this when it was on? And I'm always like, I tell you that all the time. I'm always late to the game.
Yeah,
Like,
same here, man.
Yeah, they'll be like, I watched that 10 years ago, and I'm like, man, that's really good. And I'll be talking about it. Columbo, dude. I told you about my Columbo thing, right? Dude, I'm watching Columbo like 60 years too late. Everyone's like, yeah, you didn't know. I never seen that. Man, it's good. Did you see the episode? Like, no, dude, I seen that 40 years ago.
Time to put some color back in that beard.
Can you play a tune before you hop off?
Play a tune.
What kind of tune do you mean?
Probably a guitar's in the background there.
Oh, where's your guitar at?
They're back behind me. I got a new one. I don't know if I told you. I got a just a cheapy. It's a Pile brand, not pile of shit.
It's a pile of shit. Then if it's a pile,
no, it's an acoustic electric. I mean, it sounds really good for the price.
Really? What'd you pay for that?
$100.
Oh Jesus! Was that like? Did you get some KY jelly with that too?
Nah, man. They use spit.
That's the only way to do it.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper that way.
Yeah, are you still playing then? Are you still doing?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, dude, there's no way that's gonna happen. Not tonight.
Yeah. I'm not that good. I wish I was.
I'm not good. Period. I've been fucking around with Sublime though. What I got.
The what?
Sublime's what I got.
Sublime. No, we're not. I'm not in a band. Maybe Andy is.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, we're not that good. Yeah,
No.
it's more of a. It's more of a. I didn't start till I was later in life. When did you start?
Yeah. About what? A couple months ago. No, I've always kind of farted around, but never. I'm not good. I do it more as kind of therapeutic, just farting around. You know, when I gotta kill a little bit
Yeah,
of
that's
time
for
or
me.
I'm bored or whatever. But
Yeah,
yeah,
same here for me. It keeps me. I have like what is that? An ADHD. So if I keep my fingers busy, sometimes I'll just be sitting around and I'll pick it up. But I was never that good. I never took lessons or anything.
no, I'm just being honest. I would
Yeah,
embarrass
we're
the
just being
crap out of
honest.
myself,
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I was good.
right? I wouldn't be doing this if I was.
Yeah, I'd love to be in a band, right? That would have been my dream. Like, actually, I wanted to be in a band like years ago. When I was a lot younger, but I still, that's one of those things we've talked about this where I'll watch those guys. I'll watch the YouTube videos, and
Mhm.
it fascinates me because I'm like, how do they do that? Because I think I can
Right.
do like a lot of stuff, but I'll watch real good guitarists, and I'm like, man, that
Where it really humbles you is where you go and you try to learn a song. Well, it looks like Ryan froze on me again. You try to do a song. Here he comes back in. That's weird. That's twice in one night, man. Can you hear me?
yeah, yep,
Yeah, I was just saying, man. It's humbling when you hear a song you want to try to play, and then you go and try and play it, and you realize how freaking difficult it is, man. You're just like, wow, these
yeah.
guys
I've
are
watched so many videos where I'm like, oh, that doesn't look too bad, and then you pick it up and you realize how hard it is. But they make it look so easy. It's really is a. It's one of the things that I love to do. I think because I don't think I could ever be good at it, so it fascinates me. You
right.
know.
Yeah. He said you should chase your dreams, Ryan. It's never too late to join a band or make one. Are you kidding me? Ryan's got one foot in the grave. He's got more years behind him than he's got in front of him.
Man, you're killing me. That's the truth, though. That's
Yeah,
the
but, I
truth.
mean,
'Cause,
who am I to not kick a man when he's down?
Bilbo's making fun of you too, so you're right back at you. He's probably on dial-up. Yeah, no, I wish I was good. I really do. I think, like I said, I think Bilbo he was in a band. I think he's more to that thrash heavy metal.
Hmm. I am. But anyway, used to be, but I dropped out of veterinarian school.
Yeah, but anyhow, that's one of those things that I wish I would have learned earlier. My
So,
parents, there's no fucking way they were paying for guitar lessons for me.
oh hell no, man. Um, man, I'm with you. I really wish that I can play chords all day long, right?
Uh-huh.
But then trying to get into doing the solos and whatnot and the scales, and it's like that's where I may as well be fucking retarded when it comes to that because my fingers just don't work like that. At least not yet.
Yeah, I think we're too old to learn that. Like I said,
No, man, I'm gonna
no,
keep at it. I'm gonna
no,
keep at it.
yeah. Well, good luck with that, Van Halen. Let's see how that works.
Well, yeah, well, there's only a couple of them in the world. One of them's dead.
He was good, right?
Oh my god, he's I don't. I, he's probably the best in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, his son's good.
Is he good?
He's good, but he's good.
Huh.
He's nowhere near his father's level, but he's good.
Yeah, that would be hard. That'd be hard to live up to that. I think I would have actually not played. Like
Yeah,
I would have been like a golfer or something. If Eddie Van Halen was my dad, I'd have been like, you know what? I'm not even.
I wouldn't be shit.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try.
He's spoiled asshole my whole
When
life.
people ask me, "Are you as good as your dad?" I golf. I'm a bowler. I don't ever played.
like turtles.
Let's close this
Better than
out, buddy.
Ingve? God. That's that's a tough one, man.
That's a tough
That's a
one.
tough one.
Ingve, what did he
Wow.
have? What was the ones he had? I had Trilogy by Ingve. Um,
Wow, it just
well,
put me
if you
right in my
say
place.
Ingve's good, I think, and there's a lot of good ones. It just depends. What you hit. Steve Vai was good.
I think it comes down to what your preference style wise is.
I've read some books on Van Halen. What made him so unique is how he found his sound. He Can we just decide based on who was the
Less
what it-
asshole-ish.
I'll tell us. Well, I've heard the Engbe. So Bilbo says, "Can we just decide based upon who was the least asshole-ish?" I've heard Ingve was
Really?
really bad. There's actually a video out there on YouTube where a guy hashes up just what an asshole he is. The arrogance, like almost godlike, somewhat of that. But I've heard the Ingve was pretty bad. I mentioned, you know what, guy, Nuno Bettencourt, from Extreme.
Oh,
Seems
man.
incredibly awesome. I don't know if you've heard their new song. He's an awesome guitarist who was, I think his hero was Eddie Van Halen. So he's probably the closest thing right now to Eddie. It's hard to really put it in the comparison today because it doesn't seem like music or guitar is like a big when we were growing up, right? Like we had,
Yeah.
we had so many bands where there were so many great guitarists. There was CC DeVille? Was it DeVille from Poison? He was good. There was even the worst bands had really
Isn't that
good guitarists.
Cruella's
We had
son?
Stevie, huh?
Is that Cruella's son?
Yeah, CC. Yeah, yep. You're right. That's it. What about Jimmy Page? Right? He was good. Hendrix.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to wrap this up because you're really cutting in and out a lot, and I don't know if it's on your end or my end.
It's your dial up. It's on your end. Your dial up.
Either way, I'm telling you, man, I did a podcast right before this one, and I had 0 issues, so I don't think it's on my end.
Nah, it's on your end.
Get off AOL for a little bit. Let them squirrels rest, and then we can do this again next week.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll be back. We'll do, like I said, we can decide in between now and then, but we'll figure out and get our special guest on, and he can educate us on the
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
What do you say? Check out. What is that one for?
Yeah, it's a word I can't pronounce.
Poly.
Yeah. Polypharmacy.
Yeah, so he knows a lot about it. Here's a guy, man, and I know I've talked about him before, but Lindsey Buckingham, I think.
Wow, you could have done a perfect Madden impression there if you wanted to. Here's a guy, Lindsey Buckingham. You missed a golden opportunity. Here's a guy who lost his contact in the mud, and his jersey's muddy.
You don't watch football.
I haven't watched football since Madden was announcing.
Last thing you remember. Right? You remember that. So check out Polyphia. Is that on YouTube, Bilbo? You must be making fun of me. God dang it.
It's too funny. I can't wait to get him on so we can both make fun of you. I mean, we can sponge off of his knowledge and go from there.
Well, he's we make fun of each other all the time.
It'll be entertaining as well as educational then.
It sure will be.
Yep.
Well, you want to cut us out of here, and we'll
We'll
be
see y'all
back
next
next
week.
week.
If you can't be good, be reckless.